Good evening and welcome to Real Talk with Anele on SABC3. The stage is yours. As the calendar days of the month of June tick on by, we're getting closer and closer to marking some important events. Youth Day is just around the corner, followed immediately by Father's Day. Now, given the societal ills that plague our nation, we are in the company of author of Growing Up Without a Father, where he'll be answering the question, are we a fatherless nation? Charlie Peterson helps us tackle some of the difficulties that South African youth face because of growing up without father figures. But that's later on in the show. For now, let's take a second to think about the kind of relationship that you have with money. Ask yourself whether it's a healthy or unhealthy one. Well, I'm now going to ask you to go a step further. If you're a parent, what kind of money habits are you transferring onto your child? Will they be better or worse off than you based on what you are teaching them? It's time to unpack youth financial planning as part of Youth Month, as we welcome back to Real Talk award-winning CFP professional and author of My Money, Gerald Mondiambira.
Hello, Anele.
Listen, when we're talking money, you're the guy to talk to. You know that, right?
I try my best. I try.
Oh, please, I see you on social media there, answering the questions, as the official Real Talk financial advisor. I see you.
Self-appointed.
But it's good because you know what? People have always kind of dodged speaking about money, which is why we find ourselves in financial trouble. Because I find that at times your problem could have been solved so easily had you said something before it snowballed. Am I correct?
That is correct. I think it's what you said. Children learn from their parents. And most of our parents, money was a secret. Things just happened, or you'd see an occasional fight about money, but you really were never involved. And then suddenly you're an adult and you in an income earning position and you actually have absolutely no clue what to do with all this money. And you simply try and remember what your parents used to do, and what you saw was a lot of spending, but not much planning.
So would you say that both sides of the coin are equally detrimental, well, both extremes rather, are equally detrimental? Because there's households where everything just happens. You don't see that there's money, You wake up, there's cars, there's holidays, there's food, You never actually see the transactions, right? And they never discuss with you. And then the other extreme is there's constantly this heavy cloud of how are we gonna make it? So both could be detrimental to your financial planning.
Definitely. We need to realize that money is a tool. Just like a hammer, if no one trains you on how to use a hammer, you'll beat yourself on your fingers and you'll injure yourself. And money is such a tool that needs to be used in a similar way. Now, in a household where you don't actually watch and see money being planned and used, where everything's on autopilot, you're in the danger of using money to manipulate. So you get a lot of people who come from privileged backgrounds not realizing they're very manipulative because of the money background they come from, where they always had. On the other side, which is the other extreme, people who come from a background of lack seem to want to hoard or want to show and display money so that they can prove to the rest of the world that they've arrived or they've beaten whatever was beating them down.
Odds.
Yes. So it is true. Money should simply be used as a tool. Children should be taught from a young age that it is a tool. And when used wisely and when you plan ahead, things happen. It's good if you're going on holiday to discuss with the children that we're going on holiday. It's good for the children to have chores and earn 1 rand, 2 rand, even if you're in a household that is privileged. Now we've even gone a step worse, where in the privileged households, they don't even see cash.
Yeah.
They're growing up with cards.
Yeah,
even
so they don't know the value of it. They know the amount, but they don't know the value.
Exactly. So it's almost a digital age where children just swipe and they just believe these magical cards make things happen, and they don't understand there's an underlying instrument behind it all. So we need to take a step back, because if we want our youth to start understanding that money is a tool, we need to teach them the values and that it is okay to not have enough because money does finish.
It is okay to not have enough because money does finish. Now, I will forever make you repeat this, and I hope you don't get sick of me, because every time we come and we're discussing this, especially around saving, I think it's important because, as parents, and I mean, I'm a parent too, he's turning 3 years old in August, and I worry because I have terrible saving habits, right? And I worry that I won't be able to teach him that because I'm terrible at it and I'm busy trying to fix myself. And, I understand what emotional scars I have around that, right? So you once came in, you gave us a perfect plan of, you know, they must have 3 jars.
Yes, the 3 piggies, there's 4 piggies in my book. If you look at it, the first one, you tell the child, whatever money you put in there, on your birthday, I will double it. The second one, you tell them whatever you want, bicycle, whatever you're dreaming of, write the name of the thing, put money in there. The third one is quite simple. We have and someone else doesn't have. So put money in there, and at the end of the year, we give it away. And the fourth one is the optional one. If you're spiritually based, that's the one you say we're going to give to God. The first pig, where you double the money, you've taught the child the principle behind investment, that money which is put aside and delayed can grow. So you are taking the place of the financial institution or the financial instrument in growing the value of that money. The child will know that it's okay to keep money, it will grow. The second one, you're teaching your child that if you have a goal in life, you save toward it. So you're actually teaching a child to grow up with values that if I want something, I can have delayed gratification by simply putting money aside. When the child is a little bit older, you tell them you can have as many little money boxes for goals, so that they realize in life you set goals, and to back those goals, you then put chores behind it that they can generate income. Then you're now teaching a working culture. The third one is quite simple. If you grow up and you don't realize that with whatever you have, there's someone who has less, you might never appreciate that lack, which we call lack. So it's important to give to the underprivileged or give to someone else, because it gives you a self-gratification and realization that I actually have and someone else doesn't. And the fourth one is quite simple. It's religious, it's spiritual, there's a higher power, and regardless of what religion you're talking about, that's how money operates. You give to the higher power. Now, when these jars are full, you take them to a building,
a bank,
you put them in there, and they're going to give you a little bit of plastic. And then suddenly the child has an appreciation that when you go to the ATM, mama took her money boxes, put them in the bank.
So they know what this card represents.
Yes, and they realize that when you explain to them that in my jars this month I didn't have as much as I thought I would, no is okay. They have a value understanding of money. And that's really the principles behind it. You start doing that, you'll start teaching the child the right values. To back it up, then you walk around with a list. Even if you know that what you're going to buy, carry a list all the time. Because the young person you're with will see that everything around money is planned.
Accounted for.
And it's planned.
Yeah. Okay, so you good with money, I assume.
I try. And my wife is better, but I try.
And that's why you married her. This is great. I'm a firm believer that our decisions, you'll never master your relationship with money if you have not mastered your relationship with your emotions.
Definitely. Money is emotional. So if you look, there's a model by Kate Gurnley called the money personality model, 9 different personalities and money behaviors. Money is everything to us in this modern world. So we need to divorce ourselves from our past. If you want to create the new Anele who's in control of money, you need to divorce yourself from your childhood, the pains of going to a private school and being the one, in inverted commas, who lacked, but not realizing that by you being in that private school, there was a whole lot of other children who are looking at you saying, we wish we were you. So we need to divorce ourselves and just simply recreate a being who realizes that this is a tool, and it is a tool which is an exchange of value, and that exchange of value creates wealth. Wealth is measured not in amount of time, not in amount of money, but in time. Because how wealthy is Anele? If Anele was not with Real Talk, which won't be after tomorrow, how long will she survive without that income? Okay, and it's a time value. That's why they call it the time value of money.
At times, my domestic is wealthier than me because her expenses and how much she's saved. So how much she saved could cover her, say, for 2 years in terms of what her expenditure is. Whereas for me, although I may have a lot more money than Florence, because my expenses are a lot more than her, I'll be done in 3 months.
Definitely, and that's how we need to see. Money is relative. Just because you're a CEO or boss, I've seen financial plans of people who are extremely wealthy to the layman, but they live well beyond their means. So you need to realize, am I living within my means, and how much time have I bought for myself? Because ultimately, the more time you have, the more life you have, the more money you have.
Okay, so on the way, we're going to take a quick ad break. On the way, I'm going to explain to you my conundrum with finances and why I think it's the reason I'm a terrible saver. We'll chat about that on the other side of the break. A life of popping bottles. Designer shoes and flashy clothing might be the aspirational dream, right? But really, what are you passing on to your children when they watch this? And what are you saving for yourself and ultimately them? We'll chat about this when we come back from the break. Stay with us. This is Real Talk with Anele. Welcome back to Real Talk with Anele, right here on SABC3. The stage is yours. Today, we're talking about your relationship with money and whether it stands to benefit you or not. And with it being June, meaning it's Youth Month, we thought that we should give it a bit of a spotlight on youth financial planning. And who better to talk about youth financial planning than our resident financial expert, Mr. Gerald Mwandi-Ambira. Now, I said to you that I'm going to speak to you about why I feel like I'm a terrible saver. So no one ever said it to me. It wasn't it wasn't taught in school. I wasn't pulled aside at home, even in extended family situations. But there was always a backdrop of find a man, marry you, financially take care of you. So although I mean, and I'm very independent. I mean, I think you can tell. I started working at 17, right? And I started earning money at 21. I just never saved because I said, why am I saving? I'll be fine.
What you're going through is quite common because we are trying to marry a Western value system which uses the modern values of money with our African heritage. And our African heritage does speak, man provides, woman stays at home, looks after the children, happily ever after.
And even if you're not staying at home, even if you are working, there's this notion that, you know, you don't worry, just find a man, get married, you'll be fine.
Well, women are not supposed to work technically. If you really want to look at it, no, women are supposed to be provided for by strong men. Okay, and a woman's working should be optional. That's a whole discussion on itself.
Yes, because you and I.
That's a whole discussion on itself. But the independence aspect should be looked into in terms of saying that you grew up expecting that to happen. Yeah. So because the things haven't fallen into place, you are needing to reset yourself and your life in terms of saying, okay, I have to provide, I have a child, and I have to start preparing for the long term, just in case the knight in shining armor doesn't show up.
But here's the thing, Gerald, is that even if he does, what's to say I won't earn more than him?
Well, if you earn more than him, it's good as well. But then it goes into the discussion you'll be having in a moment with Charlie around, you know, men also being men and how men deal with a woman who earns more money than them.
So now, how do I reset my financial emotions so that what I think and what I, for lack of a better word, scarred me in terms of my financial expectations is not passed on to my child?
You get help. It's as simple as that. Money is one of those specialist areas where you need to get help. Money is linear, money is scientific. Get someone who understands money, who has trained, understands it, CFP professional, or somebody who can be your money coach or financial coach to get you on that track. Once you have learned the skill, they will let you go, and just like riding a bicycle, you will master it yourself. None of us were in class and taught money values and money basics. Hence, all of us are a mess when we reach young adulthood, and we make all those poor decisions because of that. But we all work for the one thing, money. You've got a doctor, you've got a lawyer for when you have legal issues, you've got a specialist for everything, yet everyone walks around without a specialist on the one thing that drives everything, which is your money.
So in terms of, because I hear this a lot where, you know, don't leave your children with debt, you know, don't leave your children with the burden of debt. So I understand the philosophical thing around it, because me not dealing with my financial issues is me leaving that legacy to my child that is also going to have the same issues, right? But is it possible to leave debt to your children? Surely debt doesn't get left in a will. And I know we discussed wills earlier on this year, but surely if I have an Edgar's account, it's not my child's problem.
No, it's not your child's problem, but it deprives your child of receiving an inheritance from you. So that's the debt you've left behind, because you've robbed them of their inheritance. And then you've left them as young people who now have to make decisions and replay the entire cycle on their own.
Money slaves, money masters is something you touch on in your book. Can you give me the gist of that?
A money master is simply someone who realizes that money is a tool, that if I use it, it will work for me. I can create other income streams. And essentially, the money masters are those who get people who don't understand that they can be in charge of their own money, who effectively spend their entire lives working for the other money masters. And that's really what we're trying to rid ourselves of, that attitude of realizing that whether it's much, whether it's little, you can work with money. Somebody who says they can't save is someone with no income, Anele. As long as money passes through your hand, you have that opportunity to save or to invest. And that's one of the problems with the youth, which we find, that they simply say, firstly, I'm never going to get old. They somehow think that they have everlasting life until they reach their 30s and 40s, and suddenly reality dawns on them. They also believe that, you know, that they'll be healthy forever, so they don't look after themselves. They party and pop bottles till their livers want to pop. And also, you have a scenario where the young people are like, I want to be like you on TV. You know, they don't see that you put in hard work to be you. And what they do is they dress like you and get into debt to be there. Big house, no car syndrome. How many of our youths are driving flashy cars and drive back to mom's house with no intention of ever getting their own house? Now you've got people who never leave their parents' house. They leave when their parents die. They are waiting. It's almost they have this vulture mentality of saying, you know what, better die and just leave me this house.
Okay, so since we are shining a spotlight on youth and youth financial planning, without being specific, and I know I'm asking you to be very generic about this one, but let's look at my salary as an apple, right? Or a pie, something round that can be cut up. How much should be going to what?
Well,
percentage-wise.
Essentially, if you're looking at 100%, I would say at least 20, 25% should be going to the future. For the simple reason that when you retire or when you get old, you're going to live another 30, 40 years, medical technology, maybe 50, and you're going to need money and you're not working. So 20, 25%, good percentage to start from a young age when you don't have responsibilities to get into the habit. Because once you're into the habit, it's part of your character. Then you need to look at where you live or where you dwell. Your house should never be 30% of what you earn. And most people are paying bonds and rents, which are more than 30%. Already that's stretching them. You're going to spend another 10% probably on transport, and 10% again, transport or car. So your car repayment should not be 10%, more than 10% of your net income. That's if you want to be comfortable. Then you've got food expenses. That's 10%. So already we're at 60, 70%, and we still have other responsibilities.
We have 80. 30 is house. 30
so that's 80.
Yeah.
80. You've got your education. It's good to continue to always add value to yourself. And then if you work it out nicely, you end up with 5%. That's just extra money to do what you need to do. If you structure it that way, you can start living within your means, because you always need to have that little buffer at the end of the month that, you know, when the SMSs come, I saw your tweet the other day, that the SMSs have visited my bank account. It's bad, because by the 5th, most people is like, hey, waiting for payday.
I was just saying that my debit orders are doing their own thing in my account. It's like they found the house empty and they were like, let's take it all. Investments, retirement, annuity. I know this is a contentious issue. Interest rates and inflation. Do these words even feature in your vocabulary when it comes to your finances? And are you setting yourself up for failure if you don't regularly think about them? We'll find out next. Remember that you also stand a chance to win yourself a Huawei right here on Real Talk. One of the Huawei P20 Pro series phones is up for grabs. You could win it. Take a look.
Real Talk, Huawei and MTN are partnering up to celebrate the release of the new Huawei P20 series. The Huawei P20 Pro, the world's first triple Leica lens camera, is partnering with MTN SA's fastest mobile network to help you capture the best moments with your friends and family. We'll be capturing timeless moments and connecting with people in need while giving you the chance to win the Huawei P20 Pro and 10 gigabytes free once-off MTN data. So tune into Real Talk for your chance to win.
And we're back with Real Talk with Anele on SABC3. The stage is yours. We're speaking money. If you've been a little lazy or maybe even felt a little intimidated about starting a financial plan for your future, fear not. Award-winning CFP professional and author Gerald Wandiambira is here to help get you started. We've got a question from a viewer. If I have debt, right, do I save save and pay off the debt, so kind of split, you know, my savings 50-50 across saving and paying off debt, or should I work the debt, kill it, and then go back to saving?
Should never stop saving, should do things simultaneously, for the simple reason that if you were to lose your job whilst you are religiously paying off your debt, you'll have no savings to survive on whilst you wait for your next opportunity. So you need to do both all the time at simultaneous times. So saving and debt is not an option. You should always be saving because you don't know what tomorrow holds. And yes, have a debt repayment plan where you pay off the debt with the highest interest first and then you work your way down, but never actually make it an option of saving or paying off debt.
That's some sound advice. And then in terms of investments, you know, still staying with the fact that it's Youth Month and we want to cover youth financial planning. When you hear the word investments, it sounds like a very big word, a very far away word that's, you know, just, you know, exclusive for people with lots of money. How, as a youth who's just started working, can I start making investments outside of property that is mine, that I live in, or assets?
Okay. The first thing you must realize, the word investment uses the word vest. To vest means to take. So an investment has to have a point in the future where you take. The problem most people make with investments is firstly they start with no goal. So you have these people who are saving perpetually. For what? They don't know they are saving. You must first set the goal, because the goal will determine the day at which you will say, I've reached my goal, I will now vest, okay? So it's important to set that goal. And as young people, they struggle with that concept. So I would say, you know, for young people who are struggling to save, start as a group. Do what you enjoy, which is going out, and start a group where you put money aside for your weekends funds. So every week you go out. After a few months, you'll soon realize you want to do something more, and you'll start graduating. And that's really starting something like a youth stokvel. And that's how you then start to grow. Give you a quick example. 12 youths getting together, saving 5,000 Rand, which is a realistic amount for most
Collectively?
No, 5,000 each.
Oh,
no,
a month?
No, they can, because that's how much they pay on a car payment.
Okay.
I'm trying to give an example here of saying guys who can afford a car, rather than going and financing the car, start a group with 12 of you, 5,000 Rand a month. You're collecting 60 grand a month. Every 3 months, you'll be able to buy a motor vehicle for someone in the group. In 3 years, the entire group is driving cars which are paid up. You could even go with that concept to a car dealership and show them that you can do it, and they'll issue the cars pay forward, and they will arrange, because their business is to sell cars. So that's the kind of thinking that we need to have with the young people, to say, start with what you enjoy, going out, but you'll soon graduate to bigger things. And when it comes to houses, remember that your house is your biggest asset. Don't just go and buy a house until you're ready. And I tell many young people, stay at home with your parents, save for that deposit, because being a homeowner comes with its whole list of responsibilities.
You can buy a house, but can you afford a house?
I bought a big house and I had bean bags for 2 years. So what was the point? And I learned that the hard way.
Bean bags and camp chairs. Did you live in Midrand?
No, but my friends all lived in Midrand, and that was the life. And you don't have to have that life. You can delay, or you can actually, rather than buying a primary residence for yourself, buy a property and just rent it out. Let someone else do the hard work. Before you know it, 5-10 years into a bond, and you've got a good credit standing, you'll buy the house of your dreams.
RAs, retirement annuities. I find it's a shock to the system. You know, you're studying, you pass your degree, or you just go straight from matric, you get into a job and you build your way up. And retirement annuities are something that's never explained to us. Even at work, you're just told to sign forms like me. Can you break it down? What should I be doing? How much should I be spending?
Okay. Again, a retirement annuity is never explained because they assume people know, and they don't.
Yeah.
Any investment starts with a goal. So if you're planning for retirement, you need to tell the planner or the person who's giving you the retirement annuity how much you want at the end. And then you work backwards, because you say, okay, when I retire, I want to be earning similar to what I have today. And then what we then do is work out a future value of what today's money will be worth in 30 years' time and how much you should be paying in. Most people are just paying, and then they get the shock of their lives when they retire, because it's nothing compared to what they expected. But it's because they never set that goal. So the lesson, if anything, if anyone's watching today, is before you invest, set the goal first, because your behavior will be according to the goal you set. So even if it's retirement, retirement and it's a long time away, set the goal. And all it is, a retirement annuity, is you set a pot of money for when you retire, and then you're going to draw monthly income from it, called an annuity or a pension.
Okay, and is there an opportunity to have two RAs running simultaneously?
You can have as many of these running at the same time.
Yeah.
Just remember that with a retirement annuity, pension or provident fund, you can only withdraw 1/3, and the rest you can withdraw 1/3 as cash.
When I retire.
When you retire, the rest will become your monthly annuity drawdown or your pension. But that amount you draw down, you define it at the very beginning by speaking to a planner, which is what I'm saying. Speak to someone who can explain the fact that 15 million rand today, in 30 years' time, will be 49 million rand. So if you want to save for 15 million in 30 years, you don't save 15, you save 49. And that's how you get to your ultimate goal, because you want the equivalent of the money.
And in terms of cashing in your RA, is that ever an option? Because I just find that there should be a lot of rules around RA.
Okay, RA is under it's a retirement fund. It's under the Pension Funds Act. You can't cash it in until retirement age, which is 55. So that you need to sit down with your planner. There's other investments which you can cash in whenever you need money. But once you go into RA territory, pension provident fund, you need to turn 55 if you want to taste that money or emigrate to leave the country, or be declared disabled or something which allows you to start drawing out that money. It's very tightly controlled because it's exactly for that. It's designed for that purpose. And while you're investing in those funds, they're not taxed. And because of that, that's why there are rules which surround that. If you want money which you can draw down anytime, there's tax-free savings accounts, there's endowment policies. But the main thing, Anele, is let's stop being Dr. Google with our money. Sit down with a professional who actually knows about money. The same way you show respect to your doctor or your lawyer who knows about those areas, there are professionals who can help you with your money and to create that thing which we ultimately want, which is wealth.
Author of My Money, Gerald Mwandiambira, thank you so much once again for his expertise and much valued wisdom. Even I was like, huh? Coming up next, Father's Day is meant to be a loving time spent between parent and child, where they're reminded of what's truly important in life, right? Sadly, though, for many, Father's Day is a painful reminder of men choosing to walk out of their children's lives. Here, with his own painful memories to share, is motivational speaker and author Charlie Peterson. Come back to us. And welcome back to Real Talk with Anele on SABC 3. Picture the scene. A kid wakes up with great excitement to do something special for his dad on Father's Day. Maybe it involves a special breakfast he's proud to cook all by himself. Perhaps he gets him the traditional tie and socks package deal, or one of those best dad in the world mugs he bought with his own pocket money. But what if the kid in question's father abandoned him, never to be seen again? Such is the reality of many South African children growing up without fathers in their lives. And this is just one of the many reasons that prompted Charles Peterson to write his book, Growing Up Without a Father, Are We a Fatherless Nation? Please welcome author and motivational speaker, Charlie Peterson. Now, sometimes it's Charlie, sometimes it's Charles. Which one must I use now?
Let's go with the flow. You know, I'm comfortable with both.
Okay, so
Yes.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, when I'm royal and it's Charles.
Sir Charles.
Sir
Okay, I
Charles.
like Sir Charles.
Thanks, you, Anele.
So, you say you were raised by a single mother.
Yep.
Right? And here's the thing about being a single mother. Either the father was never there from inception,
Yes.
or abandonment happened where the father was there and then the father left. Which umbrella do you fall under?
I fall under the one, they call it, he went and buy soap.
And never came back.
Yes. And never came back, yeah.
Okay, so how old were you when this happened?
No, I was a baby, yeah. I think he just saw me maybe when I was 3 months old, and after that he was gone.
So from when you were born, he was not at the hospital.
No, he was not there.
He came just to see, okay,
Yeah.
there's a baby.
Yeah.
According to your mother, did he act like he had intentions to stay, or did she know that he was a slippery character from word go?
And then it seems to me this, my father, you know, we reconcile afterwards. I think he was a rolling stone because I had a sister. Later, you know, when I grew up, I found out that I had a sister 2 streets from where I was staying. Not from my mother, from another mother.
From another woman.
Yes.
And the thing about sensitive discussions like this, and
Yeah.
I don't think they should be sensitive. I think it's things that we should
No,
just
it's
start-
happening, it's
we should-
happening, yeah,
Exactly.
it's
If the stats
happening.
are what, at 80% of children in South Africa grow up without fathers,
Yes.
then it means that
It's
that is
not
the norm.
sensitive at all,
It's
yeah.
not sensitive. It's become the norm, so we
It's
must
the norm,
discuss
yeah.
it. So, as a child, are they speaking in hushed tones around you? You know,
Yeah.
your dad, and when you're asking, you told her, Khothule.
Yeah, I think that was a culture in the past because your grandfather or your grandmother are taking the role of your father. Said, no, it's fine. You know, of my uncles that time when I was naughty, they said, hey, you must shut up because there's your sister going. You know, as a child, I couldn't put the two together. There's my sister going. How can that be my sister? So, but I think parents must stop being secretive because when kids find out later, then it's not going to be easy. Because I went and looked up for my father at the age of 21 myself. I said, you know, I need closure in my life. Because if I look around, you know, that one is having a father, that one, you know, is having a mother both. Why did I grow up without one? And she told me that your father left us when he was small. And my mother didn't want to open up, you know, about why.
Did you find out why?
Yes, so I went at the age of 21. I asked a friend of my name, and let's go to this town because I grew up in the rural areas. A lot of my friends are still in Smithfield. They said I must shout out to them. Hi, Smithfield. We are live on Anele.
Hola, Smithfield. Hola. How's it? Where?
Yeah, and I went to Batuli. I think Batuli 68 kilometers from Smithfield.
Yeah.
With my friends. So we went and looked up for Mr. Charlie. He was also Charlie, yeah? So we knocked at the door, and there was a gentleman. You know, as a child, you grew up with an artificial father, saying that, okay, my father is maybe a Superman or what.
He looks like this. He
Yes,
looks
you
like
just
that.
listen to the trend of the class, you know, when they ask you in class, tell me about your father. Said, no, my father was overseas. You know, he's doing this and this. You know, you're growing up of that idea that this is how the father looks like. So when I arrived at this house, there was a man standing in front of me, sickly, nothing, you know, of the guy that I had in my imagination for years. So to me was now, do I walk away or do I ask him? And I said to my friend, let's ask him. We asked him, you know, how are you and what, and we asked him, you know, do you know this lady and this lady? He never recognized one of us actually who is...
Could you see yourself in him? I know you're saying he's sickly, but did you I look like you a bit?
I think I picked up one or two things that my mother always told me about, that he was a gentleman, neatly dressed, you know, all of this. But even at that stage, you can pick up one or two of the tracks that she was referring to. And she was still alive, and she said, you can't go there. You know, while we were talking, we were asking, and we were tormenting him now. I said to my friend, man, let's come out of the truth. Let's tell the guy.
So he's
Why
talking
are
to
we
you
here?
all of this time, and he's not aware that he's talking to his son.
Yes, he's not aware.
But who does he think he's speaking to? Random guys who want to know about him?
Guys coming from Smithfield that wants to know about him, yeah. I think he was also deep in his heart. He also asked some questions.
Yeah, I also think you found him lonely, so he
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
happy for the conversation.
Yes, and later now when I mentioned my mother's name, a voice from the other room came out, a lady. Yeah, it was that lady that he was with. I think they've got a child that now, his wife now. I said, all right, we are at the right place now. Okay. So we asked him now, what happened? He said, no, man, I left because your uncles were bullies. I was scared of your uncles. I said, you left me because my uncles were bullies. What type of father are you? So, and I asked him, Charlie, what do you think, you know, I came and look up for you. Is there any other kids that you have around the way? He said, no, there's a few of you guys.
Yo. You didn't leave because people are police. You left because you are irresponsible.
Yeah, out of order.
Yeah.
And I asked him now, if you need to die now, who will bury you? He said, no, you, Charlie. I said, why? You were the only one that came and looked up for me. And you know what happened? We buried him 3 years after we reconciled, you know.
Okay,
my wife and I buried him.
In those 3 years, do you then build up a relationship with him? And I suspect it's a little bit fast forwarded because now you're catching up on 21 years, right? So how were those 3 years?
Actually, there was no relationship. I was just doing my duty as a person, saying that, you know, I think he's my father, I need to look after him. We asked him, do you want to come and stay with us? But there was no relationship at all. You
see, there are a lot of children, you know, who wish to have had the opportunity you had, where, because I'd imagine it's something you think about all the time before you go to sleep. I wonder who my father is.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if he thinks about me, and you know, I wonder if he can see my achievements. So it's this fantasy that you build in your head about what's going to happen when you meet him. When you did meet him, was it a bit of a letdown?
Yeah, because, you know, I thought that, was it actually worth it? Because, you know, of my talks, we've started a foundation, Anele, the Growing Up Without a Father Foundation. A lot of kids are coming to me. A lot of grown men, 80 years, 70 years, they still are battling with issues like this. And because of my little bit of experience, I'm helping them. Other fathers are still denying their kids, you know, at the age of 20, 25, 30, 40. We've reconciled 5 fathers of their children.
Yeah.
So to me was just, you know, I think, okay, I understand he is my father, I'm coming from him, but I don't think I would want to live with him. But we make him an offer and said, come stay with us. So he came and stayed for 2 weeks with us, and he called me and said, no, man, life here, I'm not used to a life like this. I rather want to go home. And he went home, and I think after that he died.
So the closure that you were looking for, did you get it?
Yes. Because there's
When what happened?
No, there's an inner voice in every child. You know, sometimes you can be a grown-up child growing up without a father, but there will be an inner voice screaming out, saying that, I want to know actually what happened. Who is he? You know, you find people of 80, 60 are still asking, you know, I wonder who is my father. We reconciled a lady with a father. The father was just staying next door. For 30, 40 years, he was staying next door. He married the lady next door. And he was caring more for the children from next door instead of the children from this side. So it was painful. When we reconciled her, she went to him, you know, according to the advice that we gave her, and said, you need to find closure in your life. Even when she wanted to get married, she said, I'm going to ask him, you know, to go and ask.
Okay, there's something I want to ask about, because, I mean, you run this foundation, so you're privy to a lot of these cases, and we'll talk about it after the break, but because a lot of mothers blame themselves, right?
Yeah.
And it's too extreme, which is either you blame yourself or you tell your child that, you know, this had nothing to do with anyone, it's this person. And I want to discuss that psychological train and see where we go with that one. More with Charlie Peterson on the other side of the break. And now, in case you're thinking of a possible Father's Day gift this year, why don't you win a Huawei P20 Pro for your dad? I think you should do that. Stand a chance of winning it. Have a look.
Real Talk, Huawei and MTN are partnering up to celebrate the release of the new Huawei P20 series. The Huawei P20 Pro, the world's first triple Leica lens camera, is partnering with MTN, SA's fastest mobile network, to help you capture the best moments with your friends and family. We'll be capturing timeless moments and connecting with people in need, while giving you the chance to win the Huawei P20 Pro and 10 gigabytes free once-off MTN data. So tune into Real Talk for your chance to win.
Welcome back to Real Talk on SABC3. The stage is yours. There's plenty of literature documented in medical and psychology journals about the impact of growing up fatherless. Experts cite a likelihood for depression, low self-esteem, and aggression as possible outcomes. So how then does a child process these feelings of abandonment and then move on from the hurt caused by this most painful rejection? Motivational speaker and author Charlie Peterson has made it his life work to help other kids who suffered the same fate that he did. So what I'm trying to ask you about, what I was asking, the whole, you know, some women blame themselves, or is, can we say, and I really hope we can, that there is nothing anyone can do to make a man stay? You know, you can't be thinner, prettier, smarter. As a child, you can't be cuter. Anything. There's nothing more you can do to make any man stay. So surely the weight of whether why he stayed or not should not be held by the people who stayed. Is that something that you talk to about with the cases that you deal with?
Yeah, also, Anele, is that single mothers are also taking the blame too much on themselves, and they overcompensate because the father left. And that's where your child become now either drug addict or something else, you know, using some stuff. And also, girls also, what we picked up with girls need the affirmation of a father. You know, a girl needs a father because a girl models herself with a father. So it means that if the father is a gangster, she will marry a gangster. Or if the father is a gentleman, she will look for someone that's a gentleman. So what we picked up is that boys go to gangsters. You know, if you grew up fatherless, you will go to a gangster that will show you love. And said, you know, this is what you need to do. If you look at gangsterism, if you look at prisons, 90% of the people in prison are there because of the lack of fathers. Fathers are key in the life of children. So mothers also on the other side is that, you know, what you find, because a lot of mothers called me and fathers called me, they said I'll be on Anele's show, saying that, you know, you find the mother, there's a gatekeeper. You find the mother, if things don't go well and they are
Between her and the man.
Between her and the man, yes. And then you'll find she will increase the maintenance suddenly, or she will make life so tough for that gentleman not to be a father to the child. So we need to be open with that, because I was raised by a single mother. So I can talk on behalf of single mothers, because my mother raised me, you know, single-handedly with my brother, and my brother is late. I also want to, you know, to pay tribute to him. You know, he was like a father to me. He passed away on the 21st of May, and it was tough to lose a bigger brother. And now I'm alone, but at least I'm having my wife and the kids. So family is key, Anele. But mothers must not blame themselves. But these guys, let me tell you, 80% of them are just useless. They are running away because they cannot take accountability and responsibility.
But if there's so many of men who are running away, it means we know them.
Yes.
It means they are our friends.
Yes.
They're our brothers.
Yes.
They are our bosses.
Yes.
They're our colleagues.
100%.
You know, then also the onus is on us to call them out, be like, when
Yes. But you see, we're scared, you know, even with the blessers and the blessings, look who's the blessers, you know, in the lives of our kids. We were chatting with Gerald, he said, no, a woman needs somebody that will provide. So if Gerald, your financial guy, he said, you know.
Did you see we almost got into a scuffle? I'm just like, come on. I looked at my clock, it's 20 past 2018, so like I'm not gonna.
But I don't believe in that. I believe that we are also responsible as women, saying that this thing must stop with us. And if you can read in my book, I think my wife contributed, because she was also a single mother, saying the buck stop with you.
What relationship do you have with your children as a result of being abandoned by your father?
It was tough. What I did, you know, I look for role models, you know. I think I was blessed. I look for positive role models. But it's still tough now, because I didn't know what to say when the child is going that way and that way. So I'll have to do some reading or research. Or I need to ask. And I cannot go to my, you know, friends like Opir from Smithfield, who will always tell me, you know, when you kiss, you need to kiss a girl like this. Or a girl must tell you, I love you, and you need to sleep with a girl, which is wrong. And that's where this thing is spreading. I want to say to the girls, if a boy said you must sleep with me, to show you love, run. Because you're going to sit with a baby, and you're going to add into the fatherless figures.
Why is it that majority of the cases of abandonment and fatherless households, it's black people, it's us?
Stats. I want to show you stats, Anele.
Sorry, stats that we've got
I'll
2
call you
minutes.
stats. They said 2012 stats now from Stats SA, they said African children by race absent, with absent living fathers. The father is there, but he's gone. It's 51% African. Colored 35, Indian 14, white 16%. It shows you. But I think it's also a cultural thing of Ndoda Kim Ndoda. You know, in the township, if you don't have a girl, if you don't have a baby, then you're not part of the clique, which is nonsense. Because we're creating a lot of fatherless kids.
Because then people are going out of their way to prove something of their manhood, so they purposely having children they have no intention of raising.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I definitely hear you. All right, so I'm blank now after that. Like
Another one before we
literally
close.
hit me into a standstill.
Around 66% of births registered in 2016 has had no information on fathers. 66%.
So it means they left during the pregnancy?
Yes. The total births registered in January 2016 is 1,145,000.
Okay, and then quickly, because now
66% of them don't have fathers.
I found my question again, and now we've got 30 seconds. But you can, and this is going to be like a yes or no, and then people can go into your website to talk to you about this. But we can also admit that there are times when a father does stay, but he is absent, which is also just as detrimental to the child's well-being.
Yes. And 100%, you also find the present absent father.
Yes.
He's in the house, but he's actually not there.
Okay.
Yeah, and it must
which is
change.
another discussion to be had in itself. Whew. Thank you so much to my guests, both authors, Gerald Mondiambira as well as Charlie Peterson. Tomorrow on Real Talk, how do you break out of a life of mediocrity? Let go of your comfort zone and start living for the future. Oh, I don't know, but I'll tell you who does know. Global speaker and best-selling author of What's Your Moonshot, Johnson does. He's here. He's a trained specialist, a business innovation strategist, and is a futurist from prestigious Singularity University in San Francisco. And tomorrow he'll be here with me and you. Isidingo is up next from myself and Charles from Springfield. Smithfield.
Yes.
Smithfield. I said Springfield.
Mufula
Sorry,
Tepe.
sorry. Okay, bye. Bye.